Makes sense for you? Is that good? Good. So let's go with the strategy. That's a really important part for me because I want you apply this same strategy in terms of your digital communication. Do you remember that I told you guys that we will talk about digital communication and all this? Well, a strategy is part of this digital communication. If you don't know, about digital communication, about a strategy, it will be really hard and difficult to understand how to communicate in your social media channel. So please be sure to be really focused on these strategy tools because it's important for your communication. So it's time to stress your body. I know that someone can ask, why do you have to stress your body? Yes, it's necessary because we're sitting here and we need our mind really focused. And if your body is really hurting, it's not going to work. So now that we're going to talk about strategy, let's stretch your body, okay? Like nobody's watching. You can do, are you stretching? I cannot see you, but I hope you're stretching. Take your time. Good. So let's go with the strategy. So the first that we have to know about a strategy is that we have to understand what are our objectives. So I would like to mention that we don't have the same objectives all the time. So every time that you're going to enter in a meeting or you're going to start a digital marketing campaign, you need to have an objective. And this is a question that you ask yourself as a person, as an organization, but also you need to write. Always, please. When you are going for a TV interview or a radio interview to talk about something, you have to understand and tell yourself what is your objective. What was my objective when I talk about communication? I say, I want all this person can talk about, can understand about communication in a different way. And also they have to understand that we are in an important moment of the history and they have to know about communication more than ever. So that's my focus and that's my objective with you. So it's important that every time you start a meeting, that you start something in terms of communication, you have an objective. So I will give you a few examples that I found for you. That are, for example, keep the hemophilia conversation active. So my objective as an organization is keep the conversation. Why? Because we need to keep pushing with the government, with another organizations about us because they need to know that we are present here. So if my focus is keep the conversation active, what I will do if I have this objective? Well, I will have a schedule on social media, on different traditional medias. Also, I will do events, I will do Zoom meetings, but everything is around keep the conversation about hemophilia active. This is a really general objective, but it's really important too if you know that the conversation has to be around, has to be happening, you will keep this conversation and you will find the way to keep the conversation. Why? Because you know this is your objective. The same, the next example that I have for you is achieve or find specific alliances. So if you know that you need allies to make your events, to communicate some stuff, you know that your communication and your objective is find those allies. What are you going to do? You will find meetings that will guide you to this objective. Also, you will find importance. You can send email marketing, sending information to these allies. So it's important when you know that objective, that is, I want to find my allies, you focus all your conversation around this. If you want to find, and if you want fundraising or maybe a specific sponsorship, your objective in that meeting will be sponsorship. You will not leave the meeting if you don't find the sponsorship. So it's important to make you understand that when you start a conversation, a communication, you have to understand what are your objectives. Because you have your clear objective, you will not leave this meeting without a sponsorship. Whatever the sponsorship will be, but you know that you have to find something. So please be sure to always have your objective really focused. Also, I include this objective that was communicate specific campaigns, and I have the idea of prophylaxis. So if your objective is to talk about prophylaxis, all your campaigns will be around this idea. But if you don't know your objective, you will talk a little bit of this topic, a little bit of that topic, but you will not be focused and the message is not going to be strong. That makes sense for you guys? Is that okay? Please use all the samples that I give to you to your markets, to your regions, to your organization, and think the time to think, what are my objectives? Have you been working with this kind of objective? Your teams have all these objectives really clear. This is really important to understand, because when we have an objective, we can also share with our teams. So let's go with our audience. So it's really important to understand, if we think that in these both cases, if we have a meeting with your team, and in another hand, you have a radio interview, I would like to ask you, it is the same audience? It's the same kind of message that I will share with them? Do these people understand the same things that I do? For example, if I am in a meeting with my co-workers, with my team of the organizations, maybe, or they probably do, they will manage some kind of terms of topic that your audience in the radio will not. So can you see the difference between your communication? When you are in the radio, so many people is hearing you about your communication, about your organization, and so many of them don't know about maybe your roles, or maybe what is your organization about. So it's the moment every time after we find the objective. So the objective is the people understand what is the hemophilia about and how the patients live. But at the same time, you have the same objective in a meeting and in a radio conversation. But now that we understand this audience, we can talk different. But it's the same objective. Both want that you keep the conversation of the hemophilia active, but you have different audience. What you will do? You will share with your radio listeners some information that maybe you will not share with your meeting partners. So please take time to understand your objective. And after that, when you're going to talk, you have to understand your audience. And how can we understand our audience? Well, I would like to give you a few questions that you can have in order to understand them. And the first that all is that you have to ask yourself, I know it, I know them. Who can I know them? So I mean with this is important when you speak with someone that you don't know, is a different kind of empathy and connection than when you speak with someone that know you, that knows your background, that knows who you are, what you do. So do you remember when I was talking about me, that I was from Caracas, but I live in Panama, that I am the Taya's daughter? Well, that kind of stuff will help you to introduce and connect with people that maybe don't know you. Because when we speak as something really important for us, the people will make the connection with themselves and to say, oh my God, I am from this part of the world, and also I am the Laura daughters, or it gives you an idea of the connection of people. So first of all, we have to understand, if we know that audience, who they are. Also, for example, I will give you the same sample with the radio interview. If you are in a radio interview, you have to understand what kind of audience heard that kind of radio, because it's important to understand if these people is interested on healthcare, or they like news, or they like music. We have to understand what kind of people we are, what kind of people we have in front. Also important, what kind of position does that person have? Yes, we have to understand if we are talking with the CEO of the company, if we are talking with the manager or the coordinator or the assistant, we need to understand who is the person that we are talking, and also the position in the job that they have. I would like also to include that what points do we have in common? It's not about to know everything about the person that we are going to talk, but it's important maybe to understand the country where they comes from, also the culture, or maybe if you are talking with someone in your same country, try to understand what kind of job is taking and why this person is doing what they doing. Sometimes I already mentioned the job said a lot of someone. So try to understand why someone is caring about this conversation, and yes, try to meet that person in order to understand what things we have in common, and we can use this information to connect, because it's important. Communication has to connect. If we don't connect, we don't make changes, or we don't create a new thing with that person. Also important, what interests do you have in common with this person? Try to understand what are the interests of this person that you are talking of, and also my interest, and find the middle ground between you and this person, and try to make this communication really happy, really something that both will enjoy. And also it's important that when you are communicating with someone, it's all about add value. So always think, how can I add value to this person? Everybody have interest. They want to, if a government, they have an interest on you, and you have an interest of them. So try to find this place and understand that yes, we both have interests, but it's important to understand how can I help you and how can you help us. Don't wait that the people is just going to help you because you're nice, because you're an organization. No. Make them understand why they have to add value, what you can give to them, why help you, why work with you can help their company. So please make sure to don't be so naive in these terms of, well, I am an organization and can you work with me? No, let's add value. Let's share with them, well, if you work with me, you will find this, or everybody wins. So it's important to understand that in communication, everybody has to win in the middle ground. That makes sense for you guys? Good? How is everybody here? Hello? Okay, I would like to ask you that you share with me, with your hand, one, if you feel that you usually understand and try to make a research of what kind of audience you have. Okay, that's for one. And five, if you never go deep or you never make that research or investigate about your audience. So I would like to see what you say. I will open my camera. Are you here? Okay, are you here? Good? Okay, I will repeat this. First, if you are a person that normally share or find information of your audience, please share with me a one number with your hand. if you are a person that never look for information of your audience, please use 5. You can use 3 if you are in the middle. You can use 2 if you used to do it. If it's sometimes good. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Don. Let's see. Limi, are you here? Megan, Kier, 3. Cesar Garrido. Okay, Alex, 2. Good. I can understand. Good. Well, now that you know this information, now you're going to start to understand what are your audience in terms of communication in radio, on TV, or maybe on internet. So please make sure to understand what kind of people is hearing you, what kind of people is interested in talk with you. Is that good for you? Okay, good. Thanks for sharing all this feedback. I'm really happy for that. Okay, let's go with the content. Who is ready for the content? Okay, I will drink water for the content because this is an important part. Good. Why the content is so important, Oriana? Because the content matters a lot. And when I say content matters a lot, I mean that in terms of digital marketing, in terms of communication in social media and TV, radio, it's really important what you're going to say. And what I will really like to share with you are a few tricks about how to communicate with people in terms of the content. So please be really aware on this information because it's a marketing information. I will give you some secrets from a marketing perspective. So if you are a person that never in their life have listening or searching about marketing, I will share a few insights that are really interesting. So why the content is so important? Because we need to have something important to say. Imagine that you are in a party and you find someone that is really good looking. So that person is just dancing and it's really good looking. Oh, nice. Then when you go to that person and you start talking, that person doesn't have nothing interesting to say. What do you do? It's like, it's nice, but I'm missing something. So if you know your audience, if you know your objective, but your content is not good, what is going to happen? You're going to leave the person talking alone and the conversation wasn't good. So please be sure that understand that the content is really important. And also the content make our reputation. So if you start sharing a good content so many times, that give you a good reputation in some area. Do you remember that I shared with you that who say the message matter? Well, that kind of persons have been sharing the same good content for so many years. And that's the reason that they have a background and they have an important name on their areas. So please make sure to have a great content. Are you agree with me? I want to see your face saying yes. Good. So what is important with the content? So first, we have to prepare the message before arriving. You cannot come to a meeting just talking about the life. No. We need to have, maybe in your phone, or if you have a small notebook, you have to write this information and the topics that you will talk, because it's important to don't lose your focus. So please, I think there is a microphone open somewhere. Oh my God, I cannot go back. Good. Miguel, I can hear someone noise. No? Someone is there? Someone want to talk? Good?
I muted.
Good, thank you. I know, the people want to talk. I know, I can feel it. But you're going to talk, I know. So, let's go with the content. In terms of content, I was mentioning that you have to bring the touch points to be treated in advance. Please be sure to have your notebooks and share this information in order to share the information. It's important to have all the reasons that you will give to this person to execute, or maybe with your proposal. But it's really important that you don't manage just the topics, also include the reasons why you are suggesting those topics. So it will give you more information in case that someone wants to ask you more about this. So it's important just not the topics, include more information, because we'll give you support and we'll give you background about this information. Important, I love this quote that says, bring alternatives to negotiate. That means that who has more options wins. And that's the reason that I share with you that you just not include topics, include also all the reasons why we have to develop this idea. So please, if you have more options, if someone and if the person that you have the meeting say no to this option, you have the next option. If they don't like this option, you have the next one. And if they don't like the third one, you will have another one. So who have more options wins. So keep this always on your mind. And another important stuff in terms of content is that you have to sell results. Don't come to a meeting and say, well, I would like to do this because it's a good opportunity to make the people understand about this situation. No. You have to come with facts. Okay, after this meeting, we will have these results. People will engage with your company in that way. But please, sell results. We don't want like ideas. We want results. Remember what I say. You have to present and introduce people to what they're going to find if they make this agreement with you. So it's important to add value to people. And in your content, the main focus will be that. Bring your topics, make a research, have option, and also sell results. Is that okay for you? Good. It's really okay for me. So how many of you prepare the meeting content or the topics in advance? I would like to know how many of you. Miguel, do we have a poll for this, right? A survey? Okay, let's use it. I would like to hear your feedback. So the question is, how many of you prepare the meeting content or the topics in advance of that meeting? Dun, dun, dun.
Sorry, for this one, we don't have.
We don't have? Good. No. So can you share? Okay, good. It's okay. Can we share in the chat and which one of you always prepare your conversation and your content and before the meeting or maybe before the interview? Good, Alex, I can see you. Down, sister, good. Sina, Lawrence, great. Okay, it's okay who doesn't try this before because no one told you this before, and that's important. We cannot assume that the people will do the stuff if we don't communicate. And you remember that I told you that communication is the core of our relationships? Yes. Now that I told you, you have a responsibility to start to do this before maybe no one shared this with you. And why content is so important? Well, I would like to mention, I'm not sure if you have one of these services, but I will share with you that content, it's giving a lot of money to people. Why? These are people making money to tell his stories. So we're living in a moment when the content is more important than ever. And why I tell that? Well, there is a lot of companies in the worldwide making money of entertainment, of communication. Imagine the social media. People is doing money just making videos with their phones. It's the first time at the history that us as a human can we create content and we can make money about this. And money says something that it's important, this kind of topics. So we're understanding now that the content it's matter more than ever. And you remember that I told you that now in the middle of the pandemic, it's more important than ever. So let's understand how to create good content. So what I would like to share with you about all this strategy about the creation of the content is the storytelling. The storytelling is the art of telling good stories. I ask you, do you have that friend that it's always good telling you stories? They are always like, I have a story of a guy who make a party of, we always have a friend that is good telling us stories. So try to think about that friends and what they do to make you feel like really interested on this conversation. That people, they manage the art of the storytelling. So what I will give you at this moment is some tricks to be like this friend that it's a good storyteller. Are you ready for this? I would like to know, are you ready for this? Good, Megan. Okay. It's important to understand this. Look at this person, please. And I don't want that you think that I am sharing something of political or a message of the content. I would like to think strategy. In strategy, think about this message. There is a message that this character shared with the world. And all of us knows what is the message. I'm not talking about if the message is good or the content is created. No. I'm talking about how this person communicate the message. So Donald Trump communicate the message that we need to build a wall. And if we need to make a recap of all the message of this character, we have a meme that make a resume, a recap of this information. That means that the message who it's really clear to understand, get a connection. Oriana, why do you give us this example? It's because it's really important for me that you understand that humans have ways to communicate some message. But when you are clear, when you are simple, when you are small, when you can recap all this information in just one quote, we are going to remember. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not telling you, I'm not talking, please, again, about politics and about the content of the message. I'm talking about the clarity of the message. When you know that your message is clear, it's small, it's just one phrase, and it's really, really, really clear, the message will be remember. So, for me, it's important that you use this example just to think about we need to give people clear messages in order to communicate. I'm not talking about the characters. If you can see in the other side, Hillary Clinton, when we try to find just a quote that defines her proposal, it's difficult for us because she mentions so many stuff, but she doesn't have like just one quote. What that means? It doesn't mean that one message is better than other or etc. That's a personal appreciation that I respect of everybody, but I want to let you something really clear. One character gives you one idea that we never will forget. And the other character gives you so many ideas that maybe we cannot remember what they say. So, more than understand this example as something about the content, I want you to understand the clear and the clean of the message. Why I share this with you? Because for me, it's important that if you don't understand a message, this will not connect with you. The message, when they connect, is because they are clear, they are clean, they are just in one quote. So it's important to me to make you understand that when you know your content, if you want to be a good storyteller, you have to make your message clear. It's really important when someone knows how to clear, how to make a recap of their message. So please understand of this sample that we need to be clear, we need to be fast, we need to be really specific. Why? Because when you're specific, the people remember what you say. And that's what we want. Now, imagine that you can use this phrase, this adjective, in this content, specific, clear, in a good way. You can have in your organization a clear word, a clear phrase that you can share in your interviews, in your meetings. This will be simple, specific, and clear, and the people can understand what you're trying to say. So telling you that is because we're searching for that kind of content that are really clear and they are really easy to understand. So that's the reason that I bring to the table the terms in marketing that we call insights. The insights, please hear this because it's information really important. Insights are all these things that we all recognize, we know, we live that moment, but until someone talk about this, we don't recognize them. For example, this insight find connection with you because you already live these situations. I will read this, what I have in the presentation that said, market insights is the discovery of a relevant, previously unrealized reality about a target market as the result of your analysis. What that means? Those are messages that we all share together because we all share this kind of stuff, but nobody realized it before you mentioned. And Oriana, what you are telling us what you are mentioning about the insight? Well, it's really important that when you're going to find your content, you think about insights. I will give you an example that I really like. It's a brand, but I'm really sure that this happened also to you. And after we will talk about this example and what is the insight on this brand campaign. So please confirm if you can see the video. So, can you watch the video? Could you watch? Good. Let me see. Good. So, what is the insight of this video? The insight of this video is that all of those during this pandemic, we have issues with the connections and with the technology. And what this brand does with this insight, they knew that all of us have the same problem, and what they did, they make a campaign. And it's not about the brand. I'm talking about the insight. Can you see the strong insight that they have? all of us have problems with the technology during the quarantine. Maybe you have low battery or poor connection, or maybe you was talking in your cell phone was wrong. So it's important to, when we understand the insights of the communication, we can start using for us. So talking more about the insights, I would like to include in this information that the insights are that moment when the aha moment is created. The aha moment is when you say, oh, that also happened to me. And that moment create connection with people. Good? Okay, I know the insights are not so easy to understand but I will give you a few samples in your area. I know that you know more than me about your area, but I have a few samples. If you can share with me your insights about your organizations, will be great. So the first that I have is maybe children or patients could feel some kind of rejections when they assist to the doctor's appointment or they visit the hospital. I would like to ask you, let's see if this insight is really strong or not. I would like to ask you if you think this is something that you share. You share that your patients, when they are child, they are a little bit like afraid or they reject a kind of visit with the doctor because they don't know what is going to happen. This is something that you share. I would like to know it. Do you think it's something that you share? That maybe your child's feel like they don't know what to expect of the doctor or something like this? I want to see your face. Yes? It's something that you can share? Okay. Another example that I have for you is first time that you share your health condition with your sentimental partner. Have you ever feel this insight? Do you know someone that, or any patient that doesn't know how to communicate to their sentimental partner about the hemophilia? Well, this is an insight, and this is something that happened to all of you, or maybe a few of you. It doesn't have to be to all, but it's important. What I want to do is to understand that our insights are these moments that you all share. And once that you recognize, you can start to focus your conversation on these points. That makes sense to you? Yes? Megan, Antonio, Alex, that makes sense for you? Okay, I have a few examples of how can we execute now that we know those insights. Oriana, what we can do with this information? Well, first of all, if we know that, or let's use the second example. We know that it's really confusing for the patients the first time that they have to share the health condition with their sentimental partner. So what can I do for this kind of situation? Well, I can create workshops and we can talk about these kind of topics. We can give to the patients some information about this kind of insights that we know that they share. Also, you can make Instagram, Facebook videos, posts, giving you tricks in terms of how to communicate to someone that doesn't know nothing about hemophilia, about this condition. So why the insights could be important? Because once that you recognize them, you can now start to work in front of all this information. In terms of the first example, that is more about the children's and the relationship with the doctors. And I would say that if you know this information, you can say, let's increase this confidence between the doctors and the patients. Let's make activity between them. Let's make some kind of relationship that they feel really confident with the idea to go to the doctor. Now, your word is fine, those insights in your organization that you know that all of you share. So it's really important for me to make you understand that when we are talking about content and we're going to make a good content, the first that we have to do is to be clear, specific. And the second thing is that we have to understand the insights, the things that all we share. And now we know that we start to make our conversation with base in all these messages. Please find your insights after this class. You will know more than me. You are the expert on your area, on your organization, but it's really important that you find those things, write in a notebook and say, what are those things that all my patients have in common? Well, they feel this, they like to introduce to this kind of activities, and they like to visit these kind of places. So make all your activities, make all your communication around this C2H.